Vanishing Point, a novel by Keith A. Kenel, 12 of 101. Part 12. Stacy Shannon did not forget her promise to Schuyler, but the busy afternoon did not present her with an opportunity to follow up with either her two fellow teachers nor with Suzanne down in the main office. Sean Ewell was a veteran teacher with over 3 decades of teaching experience whom Stacy frequently turned to for guidance. Granted, Ms. Ewell's teaching style and interactions with her students was markedly different from Stacy's, but Sean could be counted on to follow procedure. Sean Ewell's teacher-student interactions were harsher than Miss Shannon's, as Sean operated from a no-nonsense, take-no-prisoners, my way or the highway authoritarianism. But knowing and following the rules gave Sean power, and in the 3 years that they'd worked together, Sean had shown time and again that she enjoyed being in positions of power. Sean could be counted on to dot her I's, cross her T's, and follow the rules, whether for the sake of the children or to keep herself out of the sights of any disciplinary crosshairs. Whatever the reason, Stacy knew that if Sean smelled something fishy concerning Interlochen or its students, she was certain to cry foul. Stacy suppressed a smile when she thought of Jim Lance. Jim was a very caring PE teacher who took his students' safety needs to heart. Jim came across a bit rough at times, but he was as sweet a man as ever walked the earth. Had she had playground duty and a stranger had come lurking around Interlochen, Jim would be the very person she'd want as her teammate. He had a physical bearing that exuded confidence and the ability to switch back and forth from a strict, though fair disciplinarian to a concerned but professional confidant. The thought of Jim overcame Stacy's ability to repress herself, and the corners of her mouth curled upward. Truth was, she was just a bit sweet on him, and sometimes her mind wandered over to daydreaming about them dating. Hint as she might, he hadn't yet asked her out, and her interest in him was growing to the point where she was considering making overt overtures. Stacy shook her head vigorously, smiled at herself, and returned her attention to her class. She'd promised Schuyler that she'd follow up on her ghostly playground sighting, and she would. But right now there were 30-odd third graders who needed her attention, and Schuyler's odd imaginings would have to wait. She stole a surreptitious glance at her little waif and pushed down the urge to mother the neglected child. After all, warmth and support were important, but so was professionalism. And after 3 years in the classroom, Stacy was still trying to decide just where the need for one ended and the call for the other began. The end of the school year was always difficult, and the end of the day on the penultimate Friday of the school year made for distracted and excitable third graders. The day's final lesson was a review of irregular verbs, which some of the children took too well, while others struggled. Schuyler was one of the students who had to be reminded of standard English grammar, as she and half a dozen other students had parents who used words like tooken in place of taken and expressed themselves through double negatives such as I ain't got none. Balancing the need to inform and educate standard English grammar without stifling creativity or demeaning her students was a challenge for Stacy, who was mindful of the fact that many people in the South used idioms that were frowned upon in Iowa where she'd grown up. Stacy looked at the clock and told herself that she'd chat with Sean as the bus students were leaving. "Okay, class," she announced. "Mrs. Layer will be calling bus students in a minute, so we need to wind things up." She glanced at the wall chart of weekly responsibilities. "Adam, Tristan, you need to tidy up the room, please. Bus riders, focus on getting ready." The sheer volume of parents who transported the children by car was destined to create log jams and logistical nightmares, and because of this, keeping drivers reined in was an essential element of student safety. The classroom's noise level increased as the students swirled with activity. The noise level reached a pitch before dropping to near zero when Suzanne's voice came over the intercom. "Teachers, please pardon the interruption," she said with a slight accent. "The red, orange, and green buses are here. Repeat, the red, orange, and green buses are here. Thank you." Suzanne's utterance of thank you brought the noise level up again, and Miss Shannon spoke above the noise. "Red, orange, and green bus students, you need to line up quietly. Class, if we're not ready to go, I can't dismiss you." Suzanne announced other buses as they arrived, and the room's hubbub continued until all the bus students had been dismissed. "Walkers, riders, and carpoolers, I would love to dismiss you, but we need some third grade decorum," Stacy declared. The class grew quiet, and she began to call individual students to line up.